If you've succeeded in installing the QVD, you're probably eager to try it out and see how easy it is to manage. In this screencast, we're going to take a look at the QVD Web Administration Tool, and we're going to show you how to set up your first desktop. It's worth mentioning that QVD also provides a command line tool to perform all of your administrative tasks directly from the shell. That's useful to know because if you need to automate user creation for batch migrations, it's very easy to do. For now, we want to show you how simple it is to perform day-to-day management within our intuitive web-based administration tool. So let's start out by opening a web browser and pointing it at the host running our web admin server. By default, it runs on port 3000, so we specify the port number in the URL. Here we see the login page. The default username is admin, and the default password is also admin. This can be set in the configuration options for QVD. On the first page, after we have logged in, we get to see some useful statistical information indicating the health and activity within our virtual desktop infrastructure. Here you can see that there is a single QVD node server instance running, and a virtual machine has been configured, but it is currently stopped. Further down the page are some other pieces of information giving some totals, including the number of users on the system and the number of disk images. Let's take a look at node configuration. On this page, you can see that there is a table showing a list of the different node servers that make up our cluster, and providing information about their running state. You can run as many node servers as you like. Remember that the virtual machines that will service your users run within each node server, so you can reduce load by adding more servers to your cluster. If we had installed a new node server within our infrastructure and wanted to add it to the cluster, the task is as simple as clicking on the New button and providing the host name and IP address. As soon as we've added a node to the cluster, it will be ready to serve a virtual desktop to any user that connects to it. It's just as easy to delete a node from the cluster. Simply check the checkbox next to the node that you want to remove and then click on the delete link. Sometimes you may need to perform some administrative work on a node server within your infrastructure. During this time, you may not want to actually stop a node, but you might want to prevent end clients from connecting to it. In order to handle this, we have a blocking mechanism. Simply check the checkbox next to a node and then click on Block. This will effectively take the node out of service so that you can work on it without worrying about users connecting to it. Unblocking the node is as simple as checking the checkbox again and clicking on Unblock. While nodes are the real workhorses behind the QVD, there is not a lot that you need to know about them in terms of administering your solution. Far more important to the systems administrator are the disk images that get served to end users. Images are the actual operating system images that will boot within the virtual machine for each user. Of course, one image can be used to serve the needs of multiple users. So let's take a look at how these are installed into the environment. Under the Images section, you can see that we have an existing image already installed. Let's add a new image to see how easy it is to provision an entirely new desktop environment for a set of users. Over here, you can see that there is a download link. This takes you off to the QVD website where you can download a choice of different pre-built operating system disk images. While it's easy to build our own image, we're sticking to the stock standard demo images for the purpose of keeping things brief. Once you have downloaded your disk image, you need to make sure that it is available to the Web Administration Tool in a shared storage area. I have this image stored at an NFS mount point in /var/lib/qvd/storage/staging. When I click on New, you can see that the disk image has been found in this directory and is now available for me to use. I can assign my disk image a name for administrative purposes and can determine how much memory should be available to it when it is running. There is also the option to specify user space. If I leave this blank, users' home directories will not be persistent and will be deleted whenever the virtual machine is restarted. So if I want my users to have 256 megabytes of disk space for their home directories, I enter that here. I select my disk image and click Create. This can take some time, as the disk image is being copied out of the staging directory and into an images directory that is accessible to all of the node servers. Data about the disk image is also added to the database so that it can be appropriately managed and configured. Now that we've got an image loaded, you probably want to see how to set up a user. In the User section, you can see that there is already one user listed within the environment. But let's create a new user that will be able to make use of the image that we have just added to the system. Click on the New button. Enter a login name, a password, and confirm the password and click Submit. Incidentally, QVD also provides options to integrate with alternative authentication mechanisms such as LDAP. But this is an advanced option and we won't cover it in this screencast. Let's take a look at the options available to our new user. On this page, we can see that there is an option to change the password and also to create a new virtual machine. Each user can have as many virtual machines as required, each one running a different disk image. At the moment, the user has no attached virtual machines, so we will need to create one. Click on the New Virtual Machine link and you can see that it's as simple as assigning a name for the virtual machine and selecting the disk image that should be used. Once the virtual machine has been added, it is listed under the Virtual Machine section of the Web Administration Tool. From here, it is possible to perform administrative tasks specific to controlling a virtual machine, including directly accessing the console using a simple Java applet. For now, let's just see how this all ties together. At the moment, you can see that the virtual machine is not running. All of the QVD server nodes know this as well. Let me open the client and try to connect to one of the server nodes. Here I enter the username and password that I created in the Web Administration Tool. I enter the IP address that I will use to connect to any one of my QVD server nodes and choose my connection speed. Now I can click Connect. I am asked to accept the certificate that will secure my connection with the server node, but then it seems to take a very long time for anything to happen. Remember that the virtual machine for my user wasn't running. Let's see what has happened. Back in the Web Administration Tool, I can see that the QVD server node has received my request and is trying to start the virtual machine for me. I could have started this virtual machine from the Web Administration Tool, but it's useful to know that the server nodes can start it automatically if it's failed for some reason. Once the virtual machine has started and the disk image has booted, I am able to access my virtual desktop. Since this is a new user, it takes a while to load the virtual desktop as a new profile is generated. Future load time will be much quicker. In fact, when I log out, the virtual machine stays running, so that next time I connect, I won't have to wait for the virtual machine to boot, and the connection is almost instantaneous. And that covers nearly everything you need to know about the QVD Web Administration Tool. As you can see, managing users, disk images and virtual machines is an incredibly simple and intuitive task, and QVD has provided all the tools to make this as easy as possible. We hope that you consider downloading our software and giving it a try today.